pero tienen familiares aquí en la ciudad de Salinas. Y muchas veces, sea por drogadicción o por salud mental o cualquier otro problema, a veces el miembro de la familia no es aceptado en su casa y comienzan a vivir en otros lugares que están causando, no voy a decir problemas, pero se están causando mucha frustración en las vecindades.
And you spoke in English too. You're tasked with finding solutions for people on both sides, the people in the house and the RVs or vehicles.
Hoy creo lo que vamos a poder hacer es escuchar a todos, de que puedan traer soluciones. Creo el gobierno del condado y el gobierno de las 12 ciudades del condado de Monterrey, si nos ponemos a pensar cómo podemos buscar propiedad en el condado de Monterrey, podemos usar baños portables, excusados portables. De alguna manera puede haber soluciones. Las hay, pero tenemos que juntarnos y discutir eso. Y creo lo importante de hoy, vamos a escuchar los dos lados.
And you, like you said, you are hopeful that solutions can be found.
O si cuando uno habla y se entiende, puede haber soluciones. La cosa es que la queremos hacer, porque esta clase de solución también cuesta mucho dinero, pero como hay suficientes gobiernos que podemos ayudarnos, pero hoy esta noche vamos a votar y a ver el resultado del voto, pero a la misma vez creo que tenemos un buen departamento de policías que quieren ayudar a la gente, no nomás de sacarlos de su casa móvil, pero de poder ayudarles de alguna manera. Y otra cosa, si nosotros no cuidamos las calles donde cae el aceite o cae desecho humano, a nivel estatal también nos cobran, y es un problema que la ciudad tiene también.
Parking requirements for oversized vehicles and RVs.
What have some of the ideas from the public been that have come your way?
Some of the greatest public feedback has been to allow for 24 hours, to also allow for folks that may just have a larger than life pickup truck or truck that they're driving for their everyday activity. I think a lot of the feedback ties to actions that are outside of the city council's direct influence. Interest in tiny homes, interest in parking lot or additional parking lots and resources for the homeless population. So it's really been a forum, and I think tonight will be a forum for additional insights on what the city can do and what the city can do with the county when it comes to homelessness.
How hopeful are you that what's voted on tomorrow will be the solution that's needed, or will be a solution that works?
Well, an important point that will be made tonight is that this is about an ordinance addressing RVs and oversized vehicles. It's not so great a scope that we're going to be talking about North Korea, or we're going to be talking about all homelessness countywide. We have to keep in mind that this is a specific ordinance addressing some very specific concerns. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that as it relates to that discussion, we're going to make a lot of progress.
And then, let's see, we touch on that. What else do we need to touch on? I guess moving forward, but we already did that. I don't know, anything else you want to add?
Homelessness countywide is up, and in Salinas it's up triple digit. We've really fallen victim to some of the greatest challenges in the region, and tonight's ordinance discussion and the discussion tomorrow night will address some of that. We're not going to solve all the issues, but the more attention and the more input ultimately brings to surface more solutions.
I guess that's what
We want to welcome all of you today. Our meeting is, I'm just going to give you a little bit of the ground rules, and then we're going to have self-introductions here. Ms. Bailey Hughes, she's going to take awesome notes of this evening tonight. What I would like this evening is we're going to listen to everybody. We are going to get out of here exactly at 7:30. But what we don't want no clapping, whether you agree or disagree. It doesn't matter, we're after solutions today. So please be respectful. If you think somebody's way out of left field, that's the person's opinion, and there's value there. Otherwise, we're never going to solve these issues. Just so you'll know, Councilmember McShane, myself, even Supervisor Parker, Mr. Fector, and even Diana, we've talked to people that live in their RVs, and everybody's got a certain story. But as a city council, as a local government, we're mandated to take care of issues. And one of the things, you know, when somebody buys a house, whether you think people are rich and they're not homeless or whatever, people, when they make an investment on their home, they're paying a lot of money for their home, so they would like the best place to live. And sometimes we have to address certain issues in their neighborhoods. So we work, as an elected body, we work for everybody. So that's what we're at. We're solution driven this evening. Again, if you get out of line, we're going to ask you to leave, because you know what, we need to respect everybody, and maybe somebody will come up with something that we can all agree on. In a few moments, Councilmember McShane is going to give us about a 10-minute slideshow here, tell us where we're at on this issue, and then we have some folks that are going to join us, and they'll just say who they are. So what do we do right now? Just quickly,
very quickly. My name is Michael Fecker. I'm the program director for an organization called One Starfish Safe Parking and Supportive Services. My wife and I are just private citizens. We got here 6 years ago and saw that there were a lot of people living out of their vehicles, and at that time it was illegal to live in your vehicle, and so we have been very lucky. We worked with city councils, mayors, with Supervisor Parker, with all kinds of political leaders, and also with private citizens to come up with sites for people to safely be in their vehicle, have security, but also have a counselor working with them to get them back into housing, to increase their income. And we're just happy to do this for any city, any group that needs us.
Thank you. And Diana, quickly just...
My name is Diana Blaylock, and I'm the leader and the founder of the HIM crew from Chinatown, and I'm here with Mr. Barrera, and the people right here trying to come with a solution. Like he says, we gotta come together, get it going, instead of just keep going back and back, continue. Let's just all of us be together and everybody's ideas.
Mr. Westwhite?
Gosh, what do you want me to say? Basically, my name is Wes White. I'm a community enthusiast, and I kind of drove a lot of this. I just want to see that whatever rule that we pass is the path of least harm, undue harm to other people, because it is affordable housing already, and that's just kind of how I see it. I mean, what I'd really like out of this whole experience is to definitely agree that there are issues there, but mitigated in a different way, not through this ordinance.
Supervisor Parker, welcome. You got a couple of words to say about what you've been doing on this issue?
My name is Jane Parker. I'm a county supervisor for the area that includes this building. And I'm just here because at the county level, we're very interested in finding solutions. We're interested, no one of us, jurisdictions or individuals or even organizations, can address every single aspect of the issues that we're dealing with. So together, so we can at least make some progress. So I'm here just as a person who has been very involved myself in trying to find some solutions, and just to say that the county wants to work with the city, wants to work with the community of people looking for solutions to look at the ways we can address this that work.
Great, thank you. And now, Councilmember McShane, please, you get your...
Yeah, I'll be good. You ready?
Yes.
So just as a means of introduction, I'm delighted to join Councilmember Barrera in tonight's forum. Per the last council meeting, there was a reference to have a listening session, and I'm just so glad we could pull this together.
Yes.
I think as Councilmember Barrera shared, we're not going to be able to find all the solutions tonight, but just a discussion about this ordinance and other challenges facing our homeless population is relevant. I want to remind everybody that homelessness is one of our top city council goals. Many folks don't realize that. And the city manager, the city council's budget reflects that. Over 4 years, we've spent more than $5 million addressing homelessness. Far more by percent of the budget than any other jurisdiction for an incorporated city in the county. And many would agree, as the census has shown, that Salinas has borne the brunt of the homeless population increase. Certainly a portion of that are folks that live in recreational vehicles. And tonight's discussion is about oversized vehicles and recreational vehicles and how they're managed by the city. So just to tee it up, and I did bring the presentation from the last council meeting as a refresher for folks. The ordinance has been revised. I've been in touch with some constituents that have been up to speed and literally following it down to the last detail. I want to make sure that everybody realizes that this has been a long time coming. In about 8 to 10 months, the population of RVs or oversized vehicles has skyrocketed in the city. Councilmember Barrera, myself, and Councilman McCray co-sponsored this legislation because of residents that are impacted. And I think as we picked up at the last council hearing, it's not the responsible residents, it's the irresponsible residents. Folks that are caught on camera or film dumping their waste or behaving in a way that can be dangerous or present health and human safety concerns. You know, at the end of the day, it's not about how much the city's done or how little the county's done. I think it's really good that Supervisor Parker could be here because this is a county-city issue. Just by design, the county administers social services. So it tends to, by design, fall on the county's doorstep to address the homeless population. And I think some of the challenges that's frustrating the city council is we're not always working hand in glove. And so I think tonight is an opportunity to listen to that. So what I have with us is the presentation from the last council meeting. I'll whip through it really quick. Just to review, if I may, I took a few notes here. This is a citywide ordinance. It would apply to all city streets and city facilities, including city parks, city parking lots. It does not apply to private residences. So any person may have an oversized vehicle parked in their driveway, provided it meets the other requirements set forth by the city of Salinas. The proposed ordinance applies citywide. It applies to all city council districts. And you know, more than anything, the specifics are a vehicle in excess of 7 feet in height or 20 feet in length. And no one type of vehicle is singled out. At the end of the day, all vehicles are treated the same. There are some exceptions. Vehicles may be parked by owners in front of their residence for up to 48 hours for purposes of loading and unloading. That is a revision based on feedback we've gotten. I'd also say commercial vehicles, that is work vehicles that are making deliveries and such. And then the other things, penalties which may be imposed, fines, criminal fines, parking fines, administrative fines. A vehicle parked in violation may be towed at the owner's expense. It's important to note there are 8 qualified towing companies in Salinas, 3 of which can handle a recreational vehicle. We are currently going through negotiations on our latest version of contracts with those towing companies. And we're pleased to announce early, you'll hear this tomorrow night, that of those 3, provisions are being made so that recreational vehicles will be able to be towed. I think that's an important note. So I think that's kind of the high level, and if I may, we'll just jump into this. Some have already seen it, but just to go through it real quick, wouldn't be a bad idea. This was presented by our city attorney on the 5th. Some of the concerns, public health, safety, welfare, city right away. Boy, we've received more than 100 feedback on this ordinance and these concerns, and many of them apply to folks that cannot see in front of their house or even get into their driveway or turn a corner without possibly endangering their life, so to speak. Obviously, the catering vehicles, loading and unloading, signs posted. If you drive into the city of Marina or the city of Monterey, you'll see signage posting. And I would argue that what we're doing here isn't much different from the city of Marina, the city of Monterey, the city of Delray Oaks, the city of Seaside. Most peninsula cities have in place what we have really adopting or are adopting and considering here. CEQA, so these are just a few examples, some pictures that came up. These are mostly constituents reporting this to the city. We have an app, some of you have seen it, it's called Salinas Connect. In just the first 2 months that we had Salinas Connect, more than 4,000 reports came in. More than 60% of those reports were abandoned vehicles, of which these sorts of incidents were categorized. So this is more of the concern: open flames, urination, improper management. You can see if we go back, really, I mean, raw sewage or other types of impacts that present a health or safety hazard. There's some hot spots that I think have been highlighted. I'm just going through these real quick. That looked like a generator. Okay. Yep. The owner of the Hampton Inn or the management company contacted us. They're strongly in support of this. Some of the folks that have stayed at the Hampton Inn have commented. It's in my city council district. I've gotten feedback. Oh gosh, yeah. I think there's a video, but the analysis is there's no direct fiscal impact. If anything, this allows our code enforcement, our parking enforcement, and our police department a little bit more ability to address the concern. Not in the city council strategic plan, and I think that's that. So, Councilman, with that bit of an introduction, maybe a few other things that I'll reference. Copies of the latest staff report that will be based on tomorrow night's agenda is on the table out front. There's a whole bunch of other helpful stuff out front as well. And I'm sure we'll get back to some closing comments. Councilmember?
Thank you, Councilmember McShane.
Yep.
And for those of you folks that are here to assist us, Supervisor Parker as well, please, if you hear something, please feel to interject if you have any updated. Thank you. There's a sign-in sheet for those of you that feel comfortable signing. The reason it's important for you, so we can give you the information that was discussed today. If you don't want to sign, that's fine.
We'll send the notes. Anybody that provides an email will get a copy of the notes that Bailey's taking. Thank you, Bailey.
So it's not to go after who we are.
Before we get into people's perspectives
Please.
on the ordinance, I wonder, could you talk about, some of the things we found in my district over in Marina was there was this push to not allow vehicles to park on a certain road, and we did not pass an ordinance until we had a place for at least some of the people to park. So could you talk about where people are allowed to park in the city of Salinas of vehicles?
Well, thank you. Well, right now, to be honest with you, you have to be moving around, and it's very difficult. Sometimes, as Councilmember McShane was saying, we do get a lot of complaints. Now, put yourself in your home, for example. You have an RV or a semi-truck. It's very difficult to make turns, either make a left-hand turn, so it's been a problem. Where I know the city of Salinas has been helpful, I can tell you the people that I've spoken that own RVs, a lot of them are unregistered RVs. I mean, it's obvious, and they have not been asked, if you don't register your vehicle, we're going to tow it away. No, we're trying to be as helpful as we can. I know there's rumors out there Salinas is trying to get rid of the homeless, but that's far from the truth, otherwise we wouldn't be having this meeting today. What we are after is solutions. But if you're investing in a home and you have a nice neighborhood, you want to keep it that way, like anyone else. But just like I met with one gentleman today, I just asked him, how can I support you? He says, by getting the hell out of my life. That's what he told me. But there's garbage everywhere, his RV spilling oil. And see, I don't have anything against the gentleman. What I have to look at is the problem that's there. We're not personalizing or going after any particular individual. We do have a problem. And that's why I said today, we're asking you if you can come up with certain solutions, but to Supervisor Parker, there's no certain place that's been identified that you can say this is where you can park, because we don't have that. Yes.
Some people here know who I am. Let me introduce myself. My name is Terrell Morris. I am one of the people who live in an RV. My RV is registered. At current, I'm actually cooperating with a friend, and we're not on the street. But at times we have been on the street, especially over in the industrial areas that you pictured on your show, we have been subject to maximum enforcement, meaning that they come by every day and red tag us, tell us we've got to move, tell us we were not allowed to park here, and that goes for a number of different sites throughout Marina. In February, I attended, along with Wes, we attended a meeting with Supervisor Caballero, Mayor Gunther, Supervisor Salinas, Supervisor Parker, or Supervisor,
Yes, Parker.
Caballero?
No, it was Caballero.
Oh, Phillips.
Phillips, it was Judge Phillips was there. A number of other people were there from some different organizations, and we were promised maps, site surveys that MTA had done, that MTCC had done, to help provide us with a working place that these RVs could be parked. I've contacted Supervisor Assemblywoman Caballero's office 17 times since February, since the meeting, and I've had no responses, okay? I've called Mayor Gunther's office, I've had no response. I've called Judge Phillips' office and had no response.
Well, just really quick, tell us, you're after a map, is that what you want?
No, we were attempting to set up a safe parking program, similar to the one that's run at Judge Phillips,
Yeah.
her office, but 24/7, 4 RVs, for people who have registered, meet all the rules.
Okay.
And we ran into a wall. Well, actually, we ran into ignorance. We were ignored.
Well, we'll look at something here, and there's no promises in this meeting. But
No, I understand that.
We'll address the issue.
But you say you're trying to help, and we haven't seen any help. We've been trying to help ourselves, and we still keep getting stonewalled.
Okay, well,
And in fact, One Starfish, the Factors know about the project that I've been working on. I've been working on this since they tried to run us out of Marina. Since they've chased us out of the county, and they've done nothing but continually criminalize our community.
Well, we'll look at that situation. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Peterson? Please get to the point. I know we're all agitated or whatever, but we're not here to.
I'm not agitated.
We're looking for a solution.
As background, I lived in my car for 12 months some years back, and I own a mid-sized RV that I do not live in, that spent one night in front of my home the other night, Friday night. My take on this whole thing is that this is aimed at the homeless, and we've got to actually do something comprehensive to fix the problem. At the last city council meeting, Tony, you issued me a challenge, come up with a solution. And Tony, you know me pretty well, don't you? Good. But I'm pessimistic. It's not just a letter. But I'm pessimistic about it. This includes 2 articles about how Salt Lake City has succeeded in reducing homeless by over 90%. And I'm going to caution that one a little bit. I talked to somebody in Salt Lake City the other day who said they've been going backwards. But still, backwards from over 90% is still far better than we've got. There's also information in here about a Canadian organization called Homeless Hub, which tracks homeless programs worldwide. And some suggestions on how to fix the problem. I am, however, somewhat pessimistic about this for a very simple reason. Everything's got to be approved by city council. Tony, you've got a record of success. Think Gloucester Park. Think things like that. But then we've got the all talk, no action faction of city council. And I am unfortunately pessimistic about this. But it will work if you want to do it.
Thank you. Thank you, Sir Peterson.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I suggested to the supervisors about a million times, and Supervisor Parker will probably recognize what I'm going to say. To look at 4 doors as a possibility. Because there's all kinds of spaces over there, and they're providing so they can park their vehicles where they have access to bathroom and kitchen facilities. And the folks that don't have vehicles, maybe they can have a place to put tents and give them an MST bus pass. It's,
I'm sorry to tell you that I've
Yeah,
suggested.
yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
and
No,
it's-
let him finish, please.
and I would just, at least check it out. I don't know if anybody's bothered to check it out or not.
Yeah.
It's
Well, we're taking notes. Thank you for that.
All right. Noted overs, and I have a couple of comments. Number one, yes, your home is your investment. For many of these people, that RV is their home, that is their investment. It needs to be protected with the same diligence that you're protecting non-local owners. As far as the hotel goes, those RVs parked in there predate the hotel. That's a pre-existing condition. They don't have a leg to stand on. If they are losing business, let's substantiate that, because that is a legitimate concern for the city. Let's substantiate that, get them to quantify those losses, put a portion of those losses into a fund that we can use as a city with local, with federal, with nonprofit agencies to provide solutions like an authorized parking area. An authorized parking area, having an alternative will keep your public safety officers safe because it offers a way to de-escalate confrontations when you're enforcing that code. If you are taking away people's best available option and not offering an alternative, that's harassment. I would like to see us also try to work with existing RV parks to try and get them to accommodate some of these legacy vehicles. We heard some people can pay for a spot at an RV park, but they can't accommodate the vehicles. I can't believe that the actual physical fittings and hookups have changed that much that you have to get a new vehicle every day. Work with the existing people who are working in the RVs. These are creative and resourceful people. Work with them and get their feedback. I'd like to see the height criterion eliminated because frankly, 7 feet, once it's over eye level, 5 or 6 feet for an adult, 3 or 4 feet for a kid or someone in a wheelchair, the amount of blockage over that height doesn't really make much additional difference. If it's 6 feet over your head or 10 feet over your head, you still can't see. And if we eliminated that, then it would create less problems with people who have modified pickups.
That technically,
Let them finish, please.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm almost done. And then I'd love to see you partner also with not only other local jurisdictions, draft ordinances, frameworks that all the towns can use, so that we're not just pushing the problem from one town to another. And that the draft ordinances that we are coming up with will withstand legal and constitutional challenges. And if this does go through and it ends up putting more people on the street, I would like to see you partner now with the World Toilet Organization, get more public toilets available, because if they don't have an RV, it's still going to end up on the street, whether it's an RV or just no public toilets. And finally, I think we need data. How many vehicles are going to be affected? How many people are affected? How much are we throwing at each vehicle? And per person, could it be more effectively spent elsewhere? There have been, as Eric pointed out, some pretty successful pilot programs.
Good stuff, thank you. Okay, just
And we
really
can
quick
use
comment.
years to help with some visibility.
one quick comment. I drive a 2000, my regular street car is a 2000 Mitsubishi Montero SUV. You see them all everywhere. With the roof rack on it, it exceeds 7 feet and it exceeds 17 feet in length. Making that vehicle alone illegal, that makes my street car illegal. It's parked on the street right down here. I move it every day. So you're basically making even people's SUVs and pickup trucks illegal.
Oh, good point, we'll look at that.
Yes, you did.
Gentlemen,
Yes, you
yeah.
did. Right.
My name is John Day. I've lived here over 20 years. And I was stationed at Fort Worth. I'm on the United Veterans Council, and I'm involved in a lot of veterans activities, to include the Veterans Transition Center. And we just had our open house, and one of them brought up that Hartnell has a program whereas vets will be able to build a small home on wheels. They will learn a skill, either carpentry, electronics, whatever, so that now they have an educational base to try to get a job. Plus, they've got a roof over their head. The only problem with that is that there is no kitchen facilities per se in these little houses. There is no restroom per se in these little houses, and no showers. So a facility would have to be made available where these items they could go to. But the main thing is they are learning a skill, a trade. My thing with all the years that I've been here, and I used to work litter control, and a lot of my time was spent on Lattice Road, cleaning up a dump. They called it home, I called it a dump. As long as the people that are living in the RVs are not self-enforcing the other people that live right next door to them to stop living like pigs, okay, then there's not a damn dime that I think as a taxpayer should be paid for anything to help them out. Because as long as you people, those people are not willing to help themselves and their neighbor, why should we? Why should the taxpayer, who pays a lot more taxes, and I mean, I know I have one friend, his wife and him live in an RV, and all they do is travel around. He's a DJ, he makes money. His wife makes money, she's computer tech, but not enough to survive to rent a place. So it's like, okay, what can we do to help them to get out of the RV and into a place? That's more, to me, is more productive than, here, we'll find a place for you to park your thing. I thought we could park at Kmart, in front of Kmart and all these other places in their parking lots. Because that's why I see a lot of parking overnight, where they used to. Okay, well maybe that's changed, but for God knows how long.
Are you done with your talk, sir?
There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just one first thing that comes to my mind is all the traffic. There's a lot of people going up and down from north to south in the state that stop here in Salinas, and during the summertime, there's a lot of people driving motorhomes. Now, you should have some kind of indication that who's coming. I somehow think that you're just going to target the homeless people and you'll ignore everybody else. But if it is important, should you post the freeways and say do not exit here, 6 to 6 months jail term, no stopping? Would you post no exit to Salinas? How would you keep the safety of the community to keep these people out? Would you post and give fair warning at the freeway exit?
Did you want to?
I just can't.
We're here to hear your thoughts.
But you should have some, and also the state rules for the road, rules of the road are very long and old and established. And there are limits on what's permissible and what's not. And then that also strikes me to set up, to intentionally put legislation down where, no, we don't accept the status quo of the law. We want to make our own road use, and we only want little cars, and you can't drive a mid-sized car, and so you can't park on the street, or the whole thing gets ridiculous. I mean, the road is set up with a perimeter, and it is capable of handling those kind of things. You can say, well, we have to maintain the roads. Well, you have to maintain the roads anyway, and the roads are designed to handle that kind of weight. I know it's a problem, and I know there are times, but still, you already have things on the book to handle the problem.
Yes. You're right, and we need to enforce those things, but you're right on that.
Okay, my name is Salinas, and I was calling for 9 years, and I feel about the homeless have experience. They have a bad experience in shelter because the employers always abuse them, and sometimes refuse to provide every support and clothing, or sometimes not put water, and it's not fair. That's the reason for the homeless refuse to assist to this assistance for improve your life more better. Also, the government need to train this person, trying to reincorporate a society. For example, first to maybe motivate people to apply a different CET school or college school, provide a scholarship, then offers something temporary job, something to motivate them. Because it's not fair only offers something solution for a party. Because always you like to stay in this situation. They need to motivate. The other reason is you are constructing a housing right now next to the Dorothy shelter, but they bring application for a housing, but they deny to application. They not provided this housing. I think on the housing is for these people, because I remember when the people go and explain all this housing is for especially for a homeless population, but it's not true. They deny every opportunity that people get low-income apartment, and that is a priority for them. It's not for other people. They be commented, they have a job, they have another opportunity to improve your healthy life, and that is a housing is for a homeless. It's not for other people. It's for a homeless.
Thank you. Is there pastor and then question?
I'm Steve Lundeen, and I'm the pastor of the United Methodist Church down the street, and a number of folks that I know and care about live in RVs and cars in the area and use our services during the day. We're open from 6 to 1. We figure that our toilets flush between 400 and 500 times a day, so we're providing a service. Steve, you mentioned, I think in your opening comments, that it's a relative minority of RVs that are causing problems with running sewage and being unregistered and things like that. Is that correct? Is that what you said?
Yeah, my own estimate. This is my data collection, and this is by no means scientific, but just my own 60 to 70 RVs that are consistently impacted. And of that population, 20 to 30% that are what I would call road. Unregistered, urinating, dumping.
Concur with that. That's been I've been working on this for.
I had a report Saturday, converted that, so good to hear.
About 20%.
So I'm just wondering if it's a small number of RVs that are a problem, why aren't we dealing with a small number of RVs rather than looking at passing an ordinance? You know, because what we're seeing at the Methodist Church is when one option closes, people aren't going away. People are becoming more desperate. We're serving more people every day because of Chinatown sweeps and sweeps in other places, and you know, and we serve everybody who comes to us. And if they can follow a few basic rules, and we have pretty high tolerance, I'm seeing more desperation this summer so far. I'm seeing kind of I'm feeling kind of a sense of hopelessness and a tension as options close. So I'm just wondering about this ordinance, whether it's really a good idea and necessary. And I like the idea of finding places for the RVs to park.
And Pastor, thanks for that comment. Assistant Chief Martinez had mentioned, if you'll remember, he addressed the city council. The importance of any ordinance is to actually assist the police department to do their job. Now, what happens, just like in the 11 RV people that I spoke to just today and yesterday, out of those 11, without exaggeration, because 6 of them are unregistered. So if I'm driving in an unregistered vehicle, and I'm just using it as an example, we all are governed by the same law. And you're right, I may lose my job tomorrow, and you know what? Maybe I got an employment, I gotta figure out how I'm gonna live my life. The situation right now is some of these folks that are in these situations that you're talking about, there's also drug addiction and mental illness that comes into play. I'm not calling people drug addicts or mentally ill, but I saw it today. And those folks just want to be left alone. The problem is with these 3 or 4 RVs, they're getting a lot of oil, they're throwing garbage in the canal there, and they're creating, and now they're starting to gather stuff, around their RV. That's not a huge amount of people, but that small amount of people create a big problem, and we're seeing that. And I think to Supervisor Parker's comments in the newspaper, it's not just a county issue, but it's an issue of 12 cities. We're all in it together. And until we prioritize what it is that we want to do, somehow we'll come up with a solution.
Right.
But it's got to be, I hear always political will, I hear somebody's got to step up to the plate. Well, it's not that easy. It's a collaborative effort. And I think today what we were wanting to come up with is see if we can find a piece of property or, and take care of not only the people that live in the RVs, but at the same time, the people that are investing in their homes. Is there anybody else that
I'd like to speak.
Yes, sir.
Last week, I spoke to a police officer who made us move our RV, and he basically intimidated us and said the ordinance had passed. And I had told him I was here the last week council meeting. Now, they were saying they were getting a ton of complaints from businesses. I don't have an exact figure right now, but I asked my mom and my family how much money we spend on local businesses just around that area, just within, say, 2 blocks. My roommate here, she spends at least $20 a day on cigarettes at the old ATM. So we're spending a huge amount of money on these businesses. As for them to complain doesn't seem right to me. Also, if you count on prescription drugs, this local CVS, as we get, my mom gets her medicine there, I get some of mine there. Or if you count that, that's probably going to be a couple $100 right there. And we could go to another pharmacy, or anything else, and not support these businesses. I know every day I walk to get on medication. And at a local clinic, I walk back every single day and get a soda when I was sitting at Market Street at AM/PM. And these add up. That's like $7 a day, $7 a week, I'm sorry. So for them to complain, yeah, and that's not including gas, like you said, for the generator, for both vehicles and the generator, because as we have 2 separate cars that she does, if she owns one car and her boyfriend owns another.
And also for the generator, we're putting gas in, so we're getting like $4 to $6 every day, and it's $300 a month. Yeah, so we're spending a lot of money
in my RV.
Yeah, just on the RV.
We use the bathroom when we go to the dumping. Yeah, not on the streets, not on the streets, sir.
Yeah, we go to what do you call it?
And I know it's bad.
Yeah.
But out of the blues from one day to another, we lost our home.
Yeah.
We had a house that was condemned for mold.
Yeah.
I told the city inspectors, it's a lot less safe to be on the streets than it is to build mold. I don't know how many of you are here from Salinas or visiting.
They told us that's not our problem.
Yeah, but let me tell you something. Gun work as well as in the day as at night. One of the big reasons for drug use is boredom. I'm not saying that it's going to cause drug use, but you put people in the streets and you're going to have problems. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, someone? Yes, ma'am.
I have sort of a question / comment. It's obvious that there needs to be a comprehensive solution to the homeless problem, whether they're on the street or in an RV. I happen to have a son who's been homeless for 15 years due to mental illness and alcoholism, so I have an interest in this. Also being a lifelong resident, I know that the ag industry and the hospitality industry on the peninsula are basically the financial lifeblood of this area. What are the chances that those industries could be prevailed upon to provide some funding, some pieces of land, something like that, to help solve this problem?
Good point.
If I'm not mistaken, the new state budget has just provided the state of California with some $200+ million for counties to provide services for homeless. I have been working personally on this project for at least close to a year. I've suggested 4 different sites on Fort Ord, and every time I've been shot down.
By the city that owns that.
No, by MTCC, by MTC, by the county supervisors, by the assembly, you name it, they've all shot me down. Ms. Parker will testify that she can tell you that I worked on one site at the corner of Reservation Road and Indian Parkway that was owned by UC Santa Cruz. And we were told, no, you can't use that, we're going to sell it. And they're like, and we did some further investigation, and there is no pending sale. And in fact, they don't intend to sell it for 24 years. They don't intend to sell that piece of property until 2040.
Okay. Thank you. Someone else that has not spoken. Yes, ma'am.
It's lovely. I'm one of the people that fell through the cracks and I came home with their mountain vehicle. And there does need to be a solution, but I don't know about passing an ordinance. Well, what do we do? You know, I'm proud of them. What do I do? I can't afford a hotel. My son has mental illness. I go to everything that the doors are closing. I get my son through the cracks and so am I. I just don't understand what is. You guys look at it like, you don't judge a book by its cover. I'm one of those people, and I'm here to represent the homeless. Because I'm one of those. And I do respect our city, because I'm a lifelong resident of Salinas. And I understand the journey and the problem with garbage. I get really angry at these people, and I'm always cleaning after them. So I really understand what you guys are saying, but there has to be another way other than pass the ordinance that we can't stay. Because what am I to do? I became homeless through a Japanese culture. I didn't know my home was taken from me. And they have my car. I don't know what to do. That's what I'm going to say. That's a mistake. But I'm glad that you guys are all here.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I think so you mentioned that people, we have to consider like homeowners. But it's hard to argue against that. It's kind of like it's pitting homeless people against homeowners, and it's like, why can't, I think like the solution is just give the people in RVs a place that they can call their home. And then it's like, then we're all on a level playing field, you know? Or it's kind of like the Wizard of Oz at the end when the scarecrow, all he needs to get a brain is a diploma. It gives him legitimacy, you know? Homeless people have a place to live. But it's kind of, but it's like magic or something that we have to sit here and try to find out how to fix a solution when, or how to find a solution with, you know, finding the political will and all the things that people list. It's like just give them, I mean, maybe you'll find a bunch of other problems afterwards, but it seems like a good shot to give it a try, giving them a place, just give them a place where they can park their RVs.
Okay, I understand where this guy's coming from, because I've done good enough the first time. I've been out here now for years, over 5 years. And what made me get involved is seeing what's going on with the homes, you know, and just like Mr. Barrera said, you know, and Beverly said, you know, we all need to, we keep going in circles. How long has it been going? Trying to get the homeless out, trying to do this, all that, but it's just one thing at a time. You know, we really need to really come to a solution and something that's going to benefit us. At the same time, you know, we won't have this problem. We just keep going in circles. You know, and back to the same thing, you know, and my idea was, you know, like she said, you know, give us we need like a piece of property or something, you know, for people to get their dignity back and to feel safe. You know, they go find a job, get their lives back together, but they can as long as they keep losing their stuff, you know? And these ordinances you guys keep passing and passing, you know, we still come back to the beginning, you know, and we still ain't had a solution, you know? And two, you know, what I was thinking, you know, I was just come out of my head was, you know, like RVs, you know, why not, you know, why can't they try permits? You know, try to get permits, you know, not to park in, I understand, you know, like the city or whatever, you know, but wherever they're gonna park or whatever, if they got a permit, you know, and go and apply for a permit for them to park. Instead of them having to be towed away, I've lost 3 RVs already. My last one was registered and everything, you know, and because it wouldn't start, and my friends tried to help me push it, they took it, you know. So now, it's really, the cost has gone up, but thank God, like they say, God is good, somebody else gave me another RV, you know. But I feel for these people out here, you know, because I mean, it gets cold, you know. And then two, you know, so many people, everything they thought right now is everything they own, you know. And then to have to turn around and keep losing it over and over and over, you know. And I understand where they're coming from, because I mean, they need something that's going to be stabilized where they can have their homes and know they can come back and they got a place. You know, but we need, you know, like you say, you know, we need to come to a conclusion here and figure something out instead of just going back in circles. Because it's the same thing every time, you know. And when the mayor made that statement that about the RVs, it didn't concern the homeless, well, yes, it does, because unlike these people, we're all in RVs because we can't afford the rent. We got evicted, you know, and some of them lost their jobs. You know, everybody's got a story out there. Yeah, and a lot of people, yeah, it's like the mentally ill, you know. People, there's so many out there. The theory that is to help these people. You know, the theory that you go in there, they kick you out. You know, and I've seen like the convalescent that shut down on Williams Road. You know, they brought a bus. You know where they put those people? I've seen it eyes on my own. I think they dropped them off in Chinatown.
Yeah.
You know, and so I mean, the homeless, you know, the homeless ain't going to go away. You know, help the homeless because San Jose what the mayor's doing. Like you said, why am I going to go take their home to take their RVs? The problem is not going to be solved because they're going to still be homeless.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It got worse.
Yeah.
They were all in town, and now they're all spread around.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, they are.
Yes, sir.
Hi, name is Amit Pandya. I'm a longtime resident of Salinas. I think when the ordinance came out, I read it carefully, and it's actually about large vehicles, mainly parked in the residential areas. The Facebook thread 2 years ago, where the origin of this came from, has to do with the big contractor trucks, always parked in front of my house, that is across the street. A Wilson's plumbing truck was named. The guy always parks by the tree in front of my entrance, very hard to get in. But somehow RVs got rolled in here. It's become a homeless issue altogether. There is a RV park at 8 New Street, 2.5 months.
At where?
8 New Street, corner of Market and New. Doesn't have tags, has everything strewn about outside. I drove by and seen a cop approach the RV. It was there yesterday. It hasn't been towed. You know why? City doesn't have any towing companies who will tow those RVs. City doesn't have any place where towing companies will put 40, 50, 60 RVs. Ordinance is already there. The RVs you visited earlier, half of them don't have a tag. You don't need an ordinance to enable the police to follow the law. It's already there. If you just had an officer go knock on the RVs, you will get that 50% that's not registered, and you can deal with them that way. To spread a complete blanket over every single RV in the town and saying you're all illegal, so shoot, go away. I think it's a little bit callous. As far as finding a place for homeless to go to a piece of land, I don't think there is political will. We talked about that 2 years ago. When March 23rd, we sent 38 cops in Chinatown and broke the peaceful protest. Cleaned that place. RVs, including Diane's, got towed and a whole bunch of things happened.
Yeah.
That time there was a 1 acre plot that was proposed on the council agenda as a dog park. The representatives from Chinatown came and talked to the manager and said, dude, you've given 1 acre to the dogs. How about an acre for homeless? Nope, don't have it. Half an acre? Don't have it. If we cramp into a quarter of an acre, maybe we can manage to salvage some people on the property. Nope, don't have it. 3 months later, we spent $58,000 to plant pee-proof plants in the dog parks. The dogs can pee on it and they won't die. I think where there is political will, things will happen. We have spent $6.1 million in the last 3 years with the city of Salinas to solve the homeless issue. I don't think we solved the homeless issue. I don't think we have made any progress. Every homeless problem in 68 cities that have worked on it and solved it begins with housing first. There's no will in this city, even in this county, to go and do housing first. And I think that's where it starts. $1,800 for a tiny home. You guys really want to work on a housing issue? You want to work on a homeless issue and come up with a long-lasting program that actually chips away at the root causes and works on it and makes it better? That's a different ordinance. But this ordinance, the reason you're getting all this attention is because you have rolled the RVs into the ordinance designed to keep my boat away from my front door. I don't have a boat if I did. And I think that's where it comes from. This is not a homeless issue. The homeless RVs just got rolled in it. I predict it'll pass tomorrow, and RVs will get towed away, and there will be a bigger outcry because there is no political will to make a statement. But I invite the city and the council and the residents to come and sit and have a meaningful discussion that chips away at the root of the homeless issue altogether.
Thank you, Amen. Anybody else that has not spoken yet?
I haven't gone yet.
Yes, sir.
So we just spent $28,000 for security and counseling services for Sherwood Park, because we want to do everybody there. We want to be able to talk, face-to-face counselors. So why don't we spend money that way? I mean, Mr. Gates said something about, I don't want to spend a penny of my taxpayer money to help them. Okay, but we're spending an awful lot to hurt them. And the way that it needs to go is, I'll contract me. I'll go door to door and I'll help mitigate those issues person to person, because that's what we need to do. We need to meet people more than halfway. That's, I think, what public service is supposed to be about. We're spending money on contracts. We're ready to spend millions of dollars to help the homeless get away from us. But why don't we just let them be? This is already affordable housing. If we get rid of the RVs, they're not going away. They'll just sit up in tents, and we've already been down that road plenty of times. So we need to be thinking, well, and these people have been living here more than half their life, if not their whole life. They were born and raised here. They expect to die here. And it's not fair. I mean, look at this new growth area. Who's going to be able to go in there? $1 million in plus, right? So what are they going to do? They're going to, get rid of these poor Salinas people. They don't belong here. They don't have enough money. That's what's going to happen. We're selling our soul for paper, and we're not valuing people to begin with. And this kind of ordinance, you say it's not about homeless, but there was like 36 RV things that we're classifying as abandoned vehicles, when they're not. I mean, it's affordable housing. And this is kind of, look at Trish Sullivan put in a Facebook post, so I'll be sure to include that for your email. A PDF of the entire Facebook post and everybody's suggestions. She found like a 5-acre plot, can fit 200 RVs on it. It has bathrooms already on the facility, already plumbed and wired, and it's ICG, so it's totally zoned appropriately. It could happen. I mean, we have an ordinance right now, the camping, where any property owner can let 6 people stay on their property with permission, as long as they can get into a bathroom. So, if we found a person, who had a vacant lot, and they said, let at least 6 people go there, we could, it's just would that be something, you know, with permission, you know, there's plenty of land, there's plenty of space, there's plenty of food, it's all a matter of cost and charge, and when it comes down to it, I'm more important than you are, and so I'm gonna spend my money to make sure that you know that. And everybody else is getting paid, the cops are getting paid, the landscaper's getting paid, tow truck company's getting paid, the administration's getting paid, just those two guys right there are getting $500,000, the attorney and the manager, and they call all the shots. You guys sit there and lapdog everything. And that needs to stop.
Solutions, Mr. West.
Yeah, well, so, I have, this guy would be great for another safe RV parking here in this town. And I've got another guy that can do sanctuary camp.
Yeah.
And, you know, we can do, if we establish some basic rules, I mean, you know, because we're really talking about is etiquette.
Yeah.
That's why we're so offended and we have to get rid of everybody's health and safety. You know, but we're not trying to talk to people, we're just trying to use them as a punching bag and spend all kinds of money saying that we're solving. Real estate and cleanups have been the majority of what your $6 million went to.
Good stuff, Wes.
Could we hear a little bit about
Yes,
starvation and how that might?
Yes, we are, but I wanted to give everybody just a last opportunity. Yeah, but these folks are going to give some final thoughts. Yes, sir.
Quick question. As far as you know, has City of Salinas ever applied for any of the free money available from the VA? And if not, why not?
Well, you know what, to that question, I know the housing program that we have here, the staff, they're looking for all kinds of grants, Mr. Peterson, and...
Do you know if there have been any applications to the VA?
Specific application, to your point, specific applications, I do not know. But I think to Mr. White's comment as far as we do need to find property, whether there's a political will or not, you know, as public elected persons, because we all work for you, every single one of you, whether it's pros and cons. Criticisms are okay, but I think to come up with a solution, it has to be a collaborative effort of all of us. I'm just going to give you one final thought and then bring it to the folks out here. There's about 15 people, whether they're homeless, RV, I've been told don't use the word homeless, so I don't know what to use anymore. But I know their families. And there's been broken fences or whatever you want to call it. All of a sudden it's becoming a social problem. When I go talk to family members to try to see if we can bring that family member from the outside back into the house somehow, they don't want that person. So all of a sudden that person ends up in different areas out there. So it becomes I'm not going to call it a problem, but it becomes a social issue. Something that we need to deal with. And to the points that most of you brought up, we have spent millions of dollars and look at it, and we haven't made a dent. So I think we have to continue looking. Now, as for a political will, if it wasn't for Councilmember action, today we didn't have to have this meeting. But we agreed, you know what, we need to hear some final thoughts. We're actually dealing with real people here. And just to say we're going to do this, it's not right. But tomorrow, I don't know what the majority of the council is going to do. I know we have something on the table. Maybe if some of you folks come tomorrow without throwing rocks at us anymore, but coming with solutions. Yeah, these people are making $500,000 or whatever, but coming with a solution. Land. I mean, some of you guys came up with some great ideas.
I've come with solutions.
Well,
I've been ignored and shot down.
Well, we'll address that, and that concerns me if you brought up some solutions and you're being turned down. So, with that, I want to ask Supervisor Parker for some final thoughts, and then we'll go to Mr. Premier, and then I'll leave that. Go ahead.
We're still 7:30, right?
Yeah.
Thanks. So I really appreciate what I've heard, and what I've heard is a lot of ideas that when we were looking for some way to work with the residents on Lapis Road, that we tried to come up with. It is very difficult to find land. There's plenty of land around, but the people who have authority over it don't necessarily want to open it up for the things that we think might be beneficial. So that's why in front of my building, so my offices are owned, the land around there is owned by the county, and the county is the boss of that land. So we said, yes, let's have people park there. So I would suggest to the city of Salinas, if you've got some land that you have control over, we thought it was advisable to have it be paved because it's easier to clean up. We have One Starfish managing the program so that there are the opportunities that if people have needs, would like to get job skills, if they want different kind of housing than what they have, there are the possibilities to get those connections made, and it's been very successful, the program that's being held in our parking lot. So I think it's a good model. It's limited. It can only take 15 vehicles, and that's if they're not RVs. So we do need more of those kinds of programs. Churches are good locations, and I know churches are really good clients of One Starfish, and already they're all over the place. These folks were doing this work before, you know, the parking lot in front of my office opened up. But I would say, and I'm encouraging my colleagues, the county has parks. And we are, I don't have any county parks in my jurisdiction, but I have a parking lot. So I'm encouraging my colleagues to look at the county parks within their jurisdiction. Maybe there are people who live in their RVs who could be park monitors, live on the park site itself. And I think there have been some placements along those lines that have happened. The parks are largely daytime parks. There are probably portions of those parks that could be opened up to RVs and other people in their vehicles, even tent camping. The county has jurisdiction over that. So that's something we could do if we want to. So it gets to the question of political will. It's very hard for me to tell another person or another jurisdiction, here's what you should do with your land. I can only have jurisdiction over what I can control. So I would really encourage the city of Salinas to look at, I know that you're going to have churches, and probably already do, in your community who are providing some safe parking. But this is, it's been harder to find a solution for the larger vehicles. And if Chris Sullivan has an answer, that's great. I think as jurisdictions throughout the county, we need to look at it. I know the city of, some of the city council members in Pacific Grove are interested in setting up, trying to set up an affordable RV park. Because one of the problems for the folks living in RVs is if you go to a place where RVs are allowed to park, an actual RV place, it's expensive, yeah. And part of the issue is, you know, money is not just flowing like a river for these folks. So we have to figure out a way to be, you know, to be safe, to be healthy, and to have a home, to have a place that you're allowed to be and can return to, and your stuff is still there. So I think we can, you know, everyone deserves a safe place to sleep. We all have different requirements and different circumstances in the moment, but as I say, I think there are sort of little things that we can each and all do to help alleviate the stress that people are feeling at the sense that yet another city is going to pass yet another ordinance that is going to drive me, if I'm living in my RV, drive me out. And that's not the way we want to proceed. So if an ordinance disallowing that parking is going to be proposed, we need to find the places where people can park, where they can be safe, where we welcome them, because it's, you know, it's challenging. But as I say, I mean, that's what we had to do at the county level, was to find the land that we had jurisdiction over, because it was very hard to find other. So I encourage you.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Yeah. Also, a real concern is that this is also the county seat. So being able to provide people access, even though there's, you know, availability, but not much attainability to services, I think that might be a big issue. I don't know if that's a legality even, you know. I mean, other cities, they're more posh, but this is the county seat where people have to have access.
And I would just say, too, that the county the whole person care pilot, which is specifically designed to connect people who are homeless with services of all kinds. Health in particular is where the county's role is, but we really value having community partners who are helping us get connected and being able to wrap those services around. The county can't do it all with just our staff. We really count on community partners.
Thank you so much, Mr. Victor, and then it'll be Andrew.
Okay. First let me say that our organization, we feel there's a basic human right for all of us, mean people, nice people, everyone to be happy. And that's really our goal. What we do is provide services, and I would refer you to our website, really, if you want, detailed answers. There's not the time here. But we've worked with Moss.
I did bring a copy of your letter that you had written to us. It's out on the back.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. So yes, our website is there as well as a breakdown of what we do and I think what our success rates have been. Because I think we've had some guests in the past reluctant to have any structure in their lives and to work with counselors, but what I think guests have found is we leave you alone. We're here to help you. We will help. We just feel like there is a basic need for all of us. My wife's mother was homeless for quite a long period. She's from a very, very poor family. And she was essentially couch surfing or living outdoors. And they're from the state of Maine. She got a one-bedroom apartment in a quiet little town because she has some agoraphobia. And she's lived stably as a wonderful citizen for 10 years. I have a child who got a brain virus at 12 years old. He's just not the same person he was. By some miracle, he got a one-bedroom apartment. He's been stable ever since with a wonderful caregiver. We're just here to serve. Quite honestly, our biggest successes are in working with churches because of the separation between church and state. Churches can behave the way Jesus, Muhammad, Moses would want them to. And so very often our programs do end up in churches. But again, we also understand homeowners. We get a lot of NIMBY stuff and we run into, the ideas get presented by all of you, but we hit the same stumbling blocks, but we don't stop and we're here to serve.
Thank you. Andrew.
Hi, my name is Andrew, born and raised in Salinas and now raising my family here. And well, I'll be honest, I did see the RVs and the homeless as a blight to our city and started to get a little more informed and realize that they're all people. And the other day on my street, there was an RV that happened to park right in front of my house. I was there a couple of days and I'm like, oh my goodness, now I want them out. Then it hit me. These are all people who have real stories, real lives, and I started watching some videos and started to get informed. And I know the vote is tomorrow. And I think this is a good first step to a conversation. And we've heard a lot of people have solutions, real solutions. And I think this should be a first step. And you as councilman can probably motion to postpone the vote to the next one. So as a community with real knowledgeable people, you can really sit at a round table, come up with solutions, put papers on the board, and really show that you really want to, not that you don't, sorry, that you really want to find solutions for everybody. Bring all points and community members. You guys have tried to spend millions of dollars, but how about actually, let's all as a community try to find a solution instead of passing an ordinance tomorrow, which could affect a lot of people's lives.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I would also like to propose that if the ordinance does get adopted tomorrow, it has a 6-month sunset clause conditional on providing actual action, not just words, and a plan for action to address the differences.
Is that what does the paper say that?
Actually, no, it doesn't. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Only having a question.
You have a question?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to speak in my own language. Oh, I'm sorry. I saw the pink house next to the casino. What is the plan about this house? I think that this is a better place to design a plan for a homeless population to invest in this housing. But what do you need these houses? Is a museum or what is the thing?
Yeah. Well, good question there. You heard Supervisor Parker, when you have private buildings, private real estate, it's not like the government can just go in there and make it happen. Let me just tell you what happened in Chinatown. One of our community folks that's very successful in business, has restaurants, apartments, does very well, him and his family. They were in Chinatown looking at some property. Well, he looks at this old beat up building and says, I want to buy it. Well, he bought it, this just happened not too long ago. He bought it for $1 million. Those of you that know, that remember La Revancha, the Mexican restaurant, the building? Well, go look at it now. He painted it, I mean like that, because he's got the money to do it. And who did he rent it to? He set out to H2A workers, to growers, which now it's a great investment for him. So, and he's meeting a certain need as well. I think what has happened today, we heard loud and clear. I think these meetings are great. Tomorrow there will be a decision depending on what the majority of the council says. Some of you will be happy, some of you won't. But you elect the body to make decisions, critical decisions. And sometimes if each person that votes, because you know what, you didn't elect us to abstain. I don't agree with people that abstain on votes. You either say yes or say no. We're not voted to abstain. So tomorrow, and you know, if you look at your council here, we all serve you. We all think a little bit different, but you know what? When it comes to bringing something together, we do it. The awesome thing to your vote, Mr. Andrew, you say that you don't have a vote, or maybe Ahmed said he doesn't have a vote. Well, there's always elections. I'm running for re-election, I'll just talk about me. Because I don't want to scare other electeds. I'm running for re-election in November. The awesome thing about, you know what's the awesome thing for the voter? Is when they have options and choices. Because those seats there do not belong. It doesn't belong to me, it belongs to you. But with that said, I'm going to try to do everything in my public service to be able to try to solve the issues for the majority. Let me tell you, Andrew, to your point, what's going to happen. There are people, if they're not registered, I think the police department has been a little bit lenient. We don't enforce as we should. We're not very consistent. But if I'm driving around in an unregistered vehicle, eventually a cop or a highway patrol or somebody's going to stop me. That's just a fact of life. They're either going to say, sir, I'm going to give you a warning, or I'm going to give you a ticket. It's up to their authority. So the same thing with all of us, and whether RV, whether it's our social. And to some of you that are critical, I want to tell you, when I first came to Salinas, I lived at Victory Mission for a whole year. I did. I walked every day looking for work. As a matter of fact, I ended up working for some of the lettuce fields here, which I'm not ashamed to say that. But the story here is not about me, it's about the people that we serve. But I'm just giving you an idea that we all have our stories, just like this. We all do. And I hope that tomorrow you come. We've taken Ms. Hughes, I know, took some great notes. If you did leave us your email, your phone number, or whatever, I know Councilmember McShane will make sure that you get everything that was discussed. Andale, please.
My name is Leo de la Rosa, and what I'm doing out there in the community is trying to set up a neighborhood watch where various neighborhoods. And I knock on doors, talk to people, and they know about the problem that exists. Okay? The people up there that I've been talking to, they don't really want to see boats, traders, and in their communities, in their neighborhoods. Okay? But they understand the problem. The homeless people, they don't have means or ways to accommodate themselves better, so they understand they can help. Okay? Now, what they feel that City Council should do is go after people that are well set. I mean, jobs, they have jobs, good retirements, and yet you see a lot of those people parking their RVs in front of their homes, driveways. Okay, those are the ones that the people out in the community want to see. So, I don't know, just thought
That's great. Yes, sir. Al.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment that this meeting, I think, is a little late, since it's going to be on the agenda tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And I'm real concerned, not so much with you that are here, but some of those that sit up there on the dais are very disingenuous in how they address the issue. We know what the problem is. We need a solution. And that's why I think listening to these people, including myself, that's the start of an opportunity to an alternative. You don't put the cat out without expecting it to come back in eventually. And this is what you're doing with these homeless people who rely on their motor homes as their living quarters.
Yes.
And I think at the last meeting, the issue came up about when is a mobile home a resident? What makes it a resident? Do you really need an address? Or do you just have to have a door that locks after you go in? And I think that needs to be addressed. So I appreciate the councilwoman and the council members that are here. I'm sorry, supervisor, Jane. But I think it's great that we're having this dialogue, but don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's work on a solution, even if it means postponing your vote. Because being disingenuous is so unfair to those people that are being affected by what you're doing.
Or maybe even listen when we offer solutions.
Yeah.
You're right. We've offered them many times.
Yeah, you're right.
I have to say one last thing.
Brick walls.
Hold on, we'll have Steve say
Well,
something.
wait, let him go, but then we should bring it to closure, because I know said you want to visit.
You were saying about the police being lenient. My roommate right here, her daughter wasn't home one day, and they tried to force her open her RV without a warrant, without probable cause, without anything. She witnessed it firsthand. And I had to call a watch commander of the police just last week. You can check my phone logs. You'll see that and they were lying, trying to intimidate a homeless. This officer, I wasn't able to get his name. I was half asleep. He had just taken a nap, and I told him that I was going to complain. I finally spoke to someone in charge and told him, you know, as the city council meeting and this officer basically was insinuating that it had passed, or saying it outright.
He said it had passed. He told us that the ordinance had passed, and we had to get out.
Yes. And you know, this isn't the Wild Wild West anymore.
We thought the ordinance had passed, we're all trying to leave. But
Yeah.
go ahead, sorry.
This isn't the Wild Wild West. You can't just run people out of the city anymore.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we're at a point to kind of bring it to closure. There'll be some visiting afterwards. I know individuals may want to offer feedback. If you signed in on the binder or the sheet of paper, thank you, Bailey, we'll send those. I think that the point that I want to share is that this has been productive. It's very easy to get extremely negative with government or inactivity or people not listening. You know, to the point that Supervisor Parker's here, and thank you very much, Jane, for being here. To Tony's leadership, the second he, invited, I was like, I'm all in. There's business cards in the back. There's brochures. I'm happy to stick around. Join us tomorrow. I think this meeting started with we don't have all the solutions. This ordinance, sure, it's very specific. It's to oversized vehicles and RVs parked illegally, but it has been modified. It has seen its fair share of change due to feedback from folks like you. Think of all the people that aren't here tonight. It's a much bigger issue, and I think we did make it then. It's easy to say this was a waste of time, they aren't listening, talking heads. You know what? I'd much prefer to hear and engage and really believe that we're moving forward. Yeah. So I want to thank everybody for showing up, and thank you, Tony, and we'll bring this to a close and stick around.
Yeah, Dominic wanted to say something.
I would just ask if the notice would be sent to the good Mr. Kevin Dagan from the Chamber of Commerce, who often comments that people don't seem to show up at city council meetings. Well, the business community not well represented here. And while it's good to have political will, let's be honest, we need economic support. The business leaders are gonna need to have to say whatever is said here, and they're not here. So I
The notes
hope
will
that.
be, the notes will be printed and brought to council tomorrow night. As long as we get it done by tomorrow.
One other thing though, you mentioned that we did all the revisions, but that doesn't include anything for people that actually live in Romney's, and they were all concessions for homeowners. So that's a very clear distinction.
Okay, thank you, Wes. And Diana, thank you. Can we say thank you to Diana for being here?
About a year ago, and they keep pushing us around. They push us from one spot to another, and it's, the word for it, the word they have is NIMBY, not in my backyard.
So, do you feel like this particular meeting was too late? The ordinance?
Oh yeah, definitely too late. You know, and I don't think it has any particular bearing on the actual vote of the ordinance. I think there was one, maybe two people here?
Two council members.
Two council members out of five?
Seven.
That, you know, and I don't think we changed either of their minds. It doesn't sound to me like either of them expressed any inclination to vote differently.
So, I mean, if, I'm guessing the best outcome tomorrow would be that the ordinance just doesn't pass.
Either that or they postpone it and attempt to rewrite it so that, you know, maybe possibly to restrict it to residential areas. Because there are a number of us that park in, that have or do park in commercial areas. And they're targeting everyone. So if they're going to target us, they're going to have to target tractor trailers, SUVs, vans. A standard cargo van is 7 foot tall and 20 foot long. That standard cargo van then becomes illegal to park on the street under the ordinance. Is solutions.
Do you feel like any
None.
potential solutions?
None.
So I have to tie up
The only potential solution I heard was from Wes, was you said you had a friend that had a spot zone for it.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to find out about that to see if we can't make something happen with that. So, again, it's the community bringing the solutions forward, and city saying the county was not.
Maybe it has to be the community that has to take it over.
Well, I think so.
We just need that permission.
That's it. But every time we've gone for permission, we've been shot down.
Well, right.
But I'll have to say again, maybe like about what you want to see in solutions-wise.
What we want to see is a monitored, safe parking lot area site that can be either cooperatively managed, monitored, has possibly some services, and some basic regulations so that we don't end up with people who have traps. Because none of us want that. None of us, we want to be able to police ourselves, hopefully, but with some city and county involvement in helping us enforce those ordinances that we write for ourselves. But a simple place that we can all not be chased around.
And it makes most sense to be in the county seat.
In the county seat. Not off into the middle of the weeds.